for the majority of my life, I've really loved the idea of romance and doing romantic things. I think it's something that's very cool, it's very satisfying. And I know a lot of men don't really say that openly, but I think we see it though. And I like it to be unique and genuine for the most part. Now, when I was younger, when I had my first girlfriend in high school, I just kind of went with more of other people's ideas of what's romantic. So I thought would be so cool if I surprised her and I bought her just a single rose to high school. I mean, to actually give to her at the school. I don't know why I thought that was such a cool thing, just a single rose. But and at the time I wasn't even driving. And I actually I asked my mom to pick up the rose, which in hindsight, that is kind of funny. But yeah, I thought it would just be so cool and so slick to just give her this single rose, and she didn't even know how to take it. Like when I gave it to her, she was just like shocked and she couldn't even speak, and I thought that was so cute. But so yeah, I've always liked the romance, but with that relationship though, it didn't last very long. I mean, that's how high school relationships go. But I don't think I was ever in love with her, and she kind of popped up in my life here and there over the years. And I mean, it's been a long time now since I've spoken to her, but yeah, she just kind of popped up in my life here and there, and I don't feel like I was ever in love with her. I don't even know if I quite even understood love at that time, and I don't know if anybody can ever fully understand it, but yeah, she actually at one point said to me that she loved me, and I'm pretty sure I did not respond because I was taken aback. I didn't know what to say. I was the one frozen at that moment. And it got to the point where at one time she said to me, I just want you to say it, whether you mean it or not, I just want to hear it. And being young and being gullible, naive, and all that, or whatever you want to call it, I did say it, and I did not mean it, but she was happy to hear it, and I just wanted to make her happy. And some people will say love is about wanting to make the other person happy, and I think there's definitely more to it than that, because it's so easy to say I love you, but not really mean it, which is unfortunate. It does happen a lot. But yeah, I'm saying all that to say though that from that young age though, I didn't really understand love, but I liked romantic ideas and things like that. And I guess that's part of growing up, trying to figure it all out. And like I said before, I really don't know if we ever completely figure it out. And love is such a tough thing to really process and to you can't really quantify it either. It's not a concrete thing. It's an emotion. And when it comes to emotions, I mean, you can't really weigh them. It's such a tough thing to really say, but or I guess express. And some people are good at it though. And I do poetry. I used to write a lot more regularly than I do now. But I don't know if I've ever even fully captured love in a poem. I think some people will say that I have. Some people that like my work and have read it in the past, they may say that I have. I don't feel like I ever really did though. But some people are actually good at that. Um, there, especially when it comes to music, there are a lot of songs that really capture love really well, and you get caught up in the emotion of them. You can get very emotional listening to certain songs related to love, and movies as well. Romantic movies definitely can get people caught up in all, and everything, and you get emotional over it, especially if it reminds you of a personal experience and things like that. And there's other things as well, like novels, romance novels, and even soap operas, all those things that people check out that just present these ideas of love to us. And a lot of times they are beautiful. Sometimes they may be a little tragic and sad and things like that too. But overall, they're pretty, beautiful ideas. But I think because we are so surrounded by these ideas of love that we don't always, or well, really, I should say, I think we start to feel like that's the way that it should be. We might listen to a song and we say that's the way it should be, or we read a poem, that's the way it should be. Watch a movie, that's how it should be. And but the big difference is, these are just it's just small little slices of life. A song is like 3.5 minutes, and on average, that's very minimal. I mean, when you're in love with somebody, when you're in a relationship, that is 24/7, 365. And I think it's impossible to be at that height of love at all times. Some people want that crescendo of love like 24/7, and that's just not reality to me. I think emotions change constantly. It's not like a steady flow. if anything, it's like a raging sea, I guess you would say. It's all over the place. Emotions really change a lot. And there's times when I think you're in love with somebody, and yet there might be times when you hate them. And I think it's a lot easier to hate somebody that you love because you know them so well. It's tough to hate somebody, to really truly hate somebody that you don't know at all. Now, I'm not talking about racism and all that nonsense, but yeah, because you get so connected to this person when they disappoint you, or they hurt your feelings, whatever it is, you have these really strong reactions. So, and even just little things, like little things that annoy you because you're around them all the time, and there are little things that they do, like their little bad habits, whatever it may be, things that just annoy you. You're not always going to be at the height of love because of that. So yeah, like all these things we're surrounded with, these whether they're fictional or they're based on real people's experiences. Again, movies, songs, TV shows, all these things, they can't fully represent what it is like to love somebody all the time, to what it's like constantly. So I think that's where people start to make mistakes, basically assuming that that's the way that it should be all the time, because it can't be that way all the time. Life just does not allow that. And no matter how much you love somebody, being around them, spending a lot of time with them, you are going to be annoyed with them at times. You are going to be disappointed at times. That's just how it goes. I mean, that's people. That's just the way we are. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them anymore, but you go through these ebbs and flows with it. So yeah, it's tough. And getting back to entertainment, especially soap operas, I think this is a good example because when we see these forms of entertainment, there's always drama attached, because I think there is some drama that basically pops up naturally within relationships. Like, jealousy is definitely a big factor that can create some drama within relationships. But because we see it in movies and we hear it in songs and all this, I think people start to feel like there has to be drama in relationships. And I think it puts so much strain and stress on relationships. There's already natural drama that you're gonna have to deal with anyway, because that's just life. Life is gonna throw things at you, like health issues. There might be issues with your jobs. Maybe there's somebody, you get a job opportunity somewhere else and things like that, and you got to figure out, how are we gonna make this work? Those types of things. So there's already enough drama that life is gonna throw at you, but when people feel like there has to be drama because that's what they always see when love is represented around them, then yeah, it puts so much stress on relationships, and it is unfortunate. But yeah, and I know I've definitely experienced that. In fact, I feel like that's been one of my biggest issues in my past relationships, is that forced drama. Really good example of this is my college girlfriend. She tried to test me, and it annoyed me so much because I knew exactly where it was coming from. There was a movie where we had seen, like, I mean, we watched it. We both knew of the movie. So the woman in the movie had done the same type of thing, and I'm gonna get to what she did in just a second here, but I mean, it was in this movie. And then I know that she had a friend that was filling her head with things too, which of course, when you're in a relationship, the last thing you want to do is let too many people into that relationship to be involved in what's going on in that relationship. And she would do that. But basically what happened is she told me that she had this opportunity to go stay with a family member in another state, and she said it would be good for her as far as finding a job and things like that. So right away, I knew what she was doing. She was testing me to see if I would say, no, I want you here. That silly thing. Like, I mean, we were already together, and I do feel like she was the first woman that I really loved. Like, I really did feel like I was in love with her. So for her to test me, I thought was just so ridiculous. And then at the same time, to test me in that way, because I look at it like this: if I'm in love with somebody, then I want the best for them, whatever that takes. So I basically told her, I said, if that's going to be the best opportunity for you, for your future, then go for it. And I said that knowing that more than likely she was testing me, and I don't think she liked that answer, but it was silly of her to test me. And I think it's silly for anybody to unnecessarily test love, because like I said, life is going to test you anyway. But I know why she was doing that. Again, it was partly her friend filling her head up with that, but then also even her friend may have gotten it from that movie that that we saw, that basically there was a woman testing her man like that within it. So it was just so ridiculous. But and I've had other times too. I mean, I could give a lot of examples, honestly, of women just creating drama unnecessarily in the relationship, which is unfortunate. It's ended a lot of my relationships in the past. And but I do think when you're in love with somebody, you really do find ways to work through those natural challenges that pop up. Now, I was married before, and I will give credit to, my wife and, our relationship, that we really didn't get too jealous. I mean, we talked openly, like whenever somebody flirted with one of us, we would definitely share it with each other and kind of laugh about it. And I was all good with that. It was not a big deal to me, because I feel like if a woman is with me, she's with me. I don't have a need to be jealous. And I hope that any woman that, would be with me would realize she has no need to feel that way, because if I'm with her, I'm with her. So yeah, that was definitely one good thing about my marriage. And I think overall, that love that we started with, I think it was genuine. But from there, yeah, we got into a lot of the challenges that life throws at you, and part of it was her not holding up her responsibilities, and I had my areas where I slacked as well. I'm not gonna put it all on her, but yeah, you have responsibilities, especially once you live together, whether you're married or not. Once you live together, wow, there's a lot of responsibilities there, because there's chores, there's bills. I really should have said bills first. I mean, bills is the big thing, but yeah, then there's chores, and you're around each other all the time, so yeah, there's a lot that happens there, and if there's a child involved, then that's even more piled on you, so yeah, these things, they just keep you from being at that height of love at all times, because I just don't think you could be like that height of a romantic song at all times when you got to deal with all these responsibilities, and I think people should be understanding of that it's not always going to be perfect. And that is something that I think caused the issue of my marriage, because my wife would say to me, why, I don't understand why it's not like when we first got together, those first nights we spent together. And I'm like, it's different now, because when we're married, we're sharing space, we're sharing bills, we're sharing responsibilities and chores and all of that. It cannot be like it is. It can't be that honeymoon phase, it just cannot be that way all the time. That's not realistic. And it's definitely unfortunate that even later on in life, some people still can't accept that it just can't be at that height at all times. That would be amazing, absolutely amazing if it could be that way at all times. But that's just not real life, though. It really isn't. But I think it is beautiful, though, when people can, work that out, where they that love maintains is still strong there as they work out these things together. How are we going to split up the bills? How are we going to split up the chores? How are we going to work things out together? How are we going to make sure that we find time for us? How are we going to find time and money to make sure we can take vacations and all those types of things? That to me is really where love becomes a very beautiful thing, and it does get closer to that grand idea of love that people have. But like I said, I don't think it could ever be at 100% crescendo of love at all times. That's just not real life. And something else I want to say too is, I think a big part of real love, is accepting each other's flaws. And I don't know, I feel like in the world that we live in now, and I know I sound like an old man here, but stick with me for a moment here. But in the world we live in now, where people are so fabricating, themselves online, really just online has changed everything. Where the internet has changed everything to where people create these personas online, and and people project things onto them. It's very easy to project things onto people, but also, it is people creating these personas and presenting just a small sliver of who they are, and people run with that, and they think that's, who they are. And then also, images as well, pictures that people upload. It's so easy to clean up the pictures and get rid of the flaws and use all these filters and everything. I joke about it sometimes. I'm like, there are some people that if they ever were kidnapped or something like that, people would not even have a picture of what they really look like because everything is so filtered and washed out and perfected, supposedly, but I really do think that real love comes from accepting each other's flaws, whether they be physical or, behavioral, whatever it may be. Now, that's to an extent though, because one idea of love that I do not like, I know some people think it's a beautiful thing, but I think it's actually problematic, is the idea of unconditional love. I don't buy into unconditional love. I think that's a dangerous idea actually, because that's where people start accepting things that they should not accept in a relationship, like abuse, whether that's verbal abuse or physical abuse or neglect or all three together, that's why I just don't like the idea of unconditional love. I think that love should be based on how somebody treats you, because if somebody cares about you, then they're gonna make sure that you're safe. They're gonna do their best to make sure you're protected. They're gonna look out for you. They may not give you everything that you want, because I think that's problematic as well. Like just absolutely spoiling somebody, I think that can end up being a negative thing because they get used to that and expect that all the time, and then you may not be able to do that all the time. And also, it kind of takes the focus off of what the love is really about, But yeah, I think love should be conditional because you should treat each other right. And I think people that put that idea out there of unconditional love are the people that know that they are paying to deal with. These are sometimes the abusers that are putting that out there. And again, that could be just verbal abuse or even being, controlling. These are the people I think really like to put that idea out there of unconditional love. So I think that is a dangerous idea. And like I said, real love is based around how you treat each other and then also accepting each other's flaws that are within reason, flaws that are within reason, because nobody is perfect. But when you can accept somebody's flaws, the minor things, when you can accept those and, maybe even embrace them in some ways, and, just learn to live day by day and not expect things to be, hunky dory, honeymoon all the time, then that's where love really gets as beautiful as it can be. And I think that should be enough. I don't think that people should aim for the fantastical idea of love that is presented in movies and songs and all of that. No, I think what we can get in real life should be enough, and I think it is beautiful enough.